Is it working?
What's going on, Brent? How are you?
I was trying to change my view so you didn't see my bed in the background, try to find something different.
That's are those 800 thread count Egyptian sheets over there? Or?
I don't know. I didn't pay for them. I'm just renting them. We're in the mountains of North Carolina for a month.
All right. Well,
Been
no
here quite
problem.
one
That
week.
means, gotcha. Let me just log into one thing here so I can watch the comments come through, Matt, and we will be good to go.
I was going to see if I could see the same thing, full screen.
So I show nothing live on LinkedIn yet on my feed.
I
So
sent out 1,240.
All right. Well, we are live, I think. I just can't find it on notifications on LinkedIn. Hey, Nick, can you show me why I can't see the live feed on LinkedIn, or how do I find it? It doesn't say Materials Exchange is live.
So we're live and they're just watching us sit here and look at each other? I can't hear you. I can't hear you.
Hold on a second. It says the host unmuted your mic. There you go. You can hear me now, right? You can't hear me. Okay. Awesome. Anybody know why Matt can't hear me? Hold on one second, Matt.
Lost you somewhere.
Yeah, you did. You want to try signing out and back in? All right, everybody. We're going to be live in a few minutes with Lunch with Lumberman with Matt. And see, yeah, very aware of that. I don't know what happened. Oh, you're back. There we go. Anything there, Matt?
We're back.
Okay.
Yep.
Good deal. All right. Cool. We're going to launch this thing and bring this up. For some reason, I'm not getting the Materials Exchange post that we're live. So let me try one other thing here so I can comment. There we go. Boom. All right. Cool. We're live. Matt, so tell me, you're renting in North Carolina for a month?
We tried to see if we could stay in the mountains away, being away from home for a month and being in the mountains. And then we got 5 days of being snowed in. It's been pretty cool. We just made one run to our first outing.
Very cool. You got to have that. Well, look at we're getting into an interesting week. I've got your report from today, that's January 20th. This is Lunch with Lumberman. Matt Lehman from Lehman's Lumber Guide, Ashley Buckle from Materials Exchange, mxlumber.com. We are the only digital marketplace live where you can buy and sell lumber. OSB and panels. We started out with a pretty good week or day so far today. Over 20 trades, Matt. A lot of I was expecting. It's crazy. I was expecting less today, and all of a sudden we came out of the gate hard. We've got bids on 10 lot bids on OSB. We cleared the deck. Somebody had 10 trucks of 2x4 16s Euro. 2 buyers came in and just wiped those out immediately. So we've got a guy looking for 50 trucks of studs right now. So even though I think futures is telling us maybe we're making some consolidation here, who knows? It kind of has surprised me how much is rolling over, right? Or how much interest is still out there to buy some stuff.
Yeah, I don't know if you heard yesterday, but one major Canadian producer sold 500 cars for late February shipment, and told the buyers told them that no cancellations, and we're probably going to be 3 weeks late.
That's called a free option. That's called a free option.
That's stupid. It's what that is if you buy.
Well, but again, I don't know what the price was.
You can bet you're not going to get that on time.
I don't know what the price was, right? It's all $1,270. Was that 4-inch?
1270 FOB for 4-inch from British Columbia.
If you were gonna buy that, I would just go over to the CME and see what I would buy that. If it's going to be late anyway, what I could buy that for. March shipment, right?
Yeah, look what happened to the March contract this morning. Tried 115 contracts in the first 10 minutes because it was cheaper, but then next thing you know, it goes limit down for that. So
So let's bring up
there's
your
just no
12 month
volume there to get it.
let's bring up your 12-month forecast chart below on your unless there's two columns. Do you want to talk anything about your further crash prep or nothing unexpected?
Probably both. The January chaos continues with you look to see what's going on with futures and it seems to be in a crash mode or correction. The cash there was more for sale this week. Like you said, earlier, going to be slower today than we were yesterday. I thought we were going to see a little wood at the end of the week. The wood's getting sold. It's just this. It's typically at the end of February. I mean January, then February. So the expectation is the market's going to go higher after right here just for a week or two. Higher in February. We're going to be overly pre-bought by the time we get to March and probably see an early peak.
So let's talk a little bit. You gave me some notes we wanted to chat about. I know Greg, Matt, and I talked a little bit yesterday. We were trying to figure out where the market is, but you had winter weather and COVID disruptors. We talked about that yesterday on our call. Greg had a reload closed for a week because of that. It's hard to get truckers to come in. Shipments are tough. So what do you think about the winter weather and COVID disruptors?
Well, I think they're very short term. The long range forecast is the Pacific Northwest and the far north. I'm sorry, the Great Lakes area around Chicago. The only places that are abnormally cold this winter. The rest of the country is supposed to be abnormally warm and dry. So I think once we get February, we're going to get that. We're going to get the weather problem behind us. And shoot, I don't know about, but everybody that's in the know about COVID says it's going to be a flash in the pan here for 4 bad weeks. Then it's going to be behind us. So if that's the case, we're going to probably come out of this thing balls to the wall, just going wide open, because then everybody seems to be buying right now for March and April jobs because they can sell up. The builders aren't rejecting the prices. They're sitting there snowed in, but they're still buying like crazy. And you see the activity on the potential today. Just people aren't sitting around doing nothing. They're selling. The builders who still like the numbers.
Absolutely. So, futures weak, cash strong. One thing we were limit down on futures almost 3 days in a row, but I think everybody has to remember where the futures are coming from, right? It was coming from a big premium, right?
Yeah. Well, if you think about that, future dollars in 3 days, which just erased the days before that. So you really went 5 days and right back to where you were at the beginning, and now we're down again, but so it's lower.
So one thing I noticed too, and I'm going to go through your list, but I wanted to kind of deviate because it's going to talk about this. We talked about housing starts and permits, and how starts in permits were maybe skewed a little bit by the multifamily built in the Northeast. But the real interesting thing was completions, right? And I think on our call yesterday, Mike and I had a call from a builder out of the blue 2 days ago. Never talked to this person before. And they said, hey, we have a bunch of houses, and it's in Florida, block walls up. They're a custom home builder. And we can't trust. Our current providers of trust has called us and said, we can't provide you with any more that you need at your rate, right? Custom homes, when you think about it, have the different elevations, scissor trusses, all different crazy stuff.
Yeah.
Different cantilevers and all that. And so they were calling us for help. Well, we don't sell truss at Materials Exchange, right? But they're like, they were in Florida, and I'm looking at a map. We're calling all the way up to Tennessee and Kentucky trying to find people because the houses are sold. People want to move into them, and they can't get roofs on them. And I think we're hearing this We're hearing this over and over and over again. So it's almost like trying to fit that last foot of golf ball through a garden hose, if that makes sense, right? It's just, when does that pushback and being able to complete homes start affecting lumber prices, right? And we saw it last year, which it did it. All of a sudden, everybody bought. And finally, it's like, okay, we got a lot of stuff. We can only push so much through at a time, right?
it's very clear right now what's happening in the market. People are buying for March and April's jobs. So when March and April gets here, there's going to be nothing to buy for. In essence, it looks to me like it's actually overproduced. If we can be buying for 1,700,000 starts and permits and completing in 1,000,000, then we're overproduced. Nobody, but I think we're building it now for jobs that are going to take place in 2 or 3 months from now. So we're supplying lumber for going to be happening down the road. So to me, that implies the market's overproduced.
Well, look, price-wise is a tough thing because I personally think, well, the market has always been close to production and consumption. It all depends where the wood's in the pipeline, right? So my question is how fast you can get through the pipeline. This is the first week I've seen more southern yellow pine listed, right? Haven't seen that in a while, 4-inch and 6-inch on the platform. Prices when they get to the 1,200-1,400 level, in my opinion, this is just my opinion, so don't shoot the messenger, are unsustainable because production finds a way to find its way to the market, and it just happens.
If you think about it, we've only been there one time. It's going to act. So we've only been there one time before, and it was sustainable, 1,200 to 1,700, and came back again. And I think that you and I need to be careful about it because we just at $1,200 and think it's unsustainable. We're not the people, not the ones buying it. The people that are buying it think it's sustainable.
No, absolutely. Although yesterday, a truss manufacturer and a builder, I made the comment that people will just be paying the prices because they can sell them. And 2 people corrected me, and they said at some point there's pushback at the level where people are building, multifamily and everything. We saw that last year, and I guess I always under the assumption people will just pay. There's a point where they won't pay, right? Where it actually probably delays multifamily jobs and delays certain jobs, or builders just say we are going to only work on completing what we have, and we're not going to forward sell or build any other stuff. So just a thought.
Yeah, I tell you what I'm hearing from builders right now. I'll tell you what I'm hearing from builders right now. The builders are fearful that they're going to come to that point where either the buyers can't afford it because of interest rates, or they get spooked, and all of a sudden they get these 12-month backlogs just start being canceled like crazy. They don't know that's happening, but it's kind of like a gut feeling I get from builders that they think right now it's just too good to be true, and it is unsustainable.
Yeah, for sure. So let's click over to well, we really don't have to look at the futures data. Do you have the housing start data on this one at all, Matt?
No, that's going to be
on the next one. Okay, we'll keep going through your list. You said buyers covering and selling for 60 days. Mills quoting March shipment. Look at so what I saw in the market today, the conversations I had. Mills are going to be the last ones to drop their price if they feel the market's coming down. Wholesalers are the first ones to drop their price. So, talking to a mill today, they said the big group of traders out there is already telling them the market's crashing. So that tells me is there's a certain group of traders out there taking the market short right now on southern yellow pine and other things, and then they're going to the mills and telling them how bad things, and then they're going to the mills and telling them how bad things are because they're talking their position, right? And they could be right.
Absolutely.
But, they could be right. But a lot of them have 100-lot trucks on, 200-lot trucks on. They've sold short to people. And if this southern pine market bounces again, they're going to have to cover those. So there's people accumulating shorts right now in the market from what I can see. Yeah.
It's too early.
Going out trying to
they're a month too early. You can't buy 200 trucks of pine anywhere.
So we talked about no orders, cancellations accepted. So it says here you're looking for a March peak. So end of January right now. So March peak. Tell me how you see that coming.
I think we're in a almost panic situation right now of trying to buy and cover for April and May, and I think February is going to be unbelievably strong. I'd be surprised to see $2,000 two befores in February, that's going to be an evidence of not necessarily the price, but just the activity. You can buy wood right now that for March shipment. It's for April and May delivery, April and May usage. Then buying for the peak consumption, peak demand time already ahead of time, and the mills are willing to sell it. We're just going to run out of orders. Mills, and it won't be the market won't be bad. It'll be good. It's just going to be bought ahead, and I don't think the market's. The mills will be able to sustain the price level. They'll be willing to come off.
Hey, just want to tell everybody, make sure you click on our links to sign up for our LinkedIn or our YouTube account. This is Lunch with Lumber with Matt Lehman from Lehman's Lumber Guide, Ashley Buckholt. We talk about the lumber market, things you're not going to be hearing from your, or you may be hearing, but in a digital market, we see stuff moving all over the place. Hey, here's one interesting thing, Matt. We had a new guy get on today. Was questionable whether they wanted to use our platform. This is interesting. Had a truck in the Northeast of 2x4 12-foot Euro. They wouldn't list it yesterday because they wanted their sales floor to sell it, which I'm like, put it on our platform. They couldn't sell it. We sold it this morning on MX, and it went all the way to Houston, Texas. And they were absolutely shocked.
Way out of bounds.
Yeah, but the point
right
there is people should use our platform to list it all the time, not just when their sales floor can't sell it. And that was a perfect example. And now they're believers, right? They're like, yeah, okay. Now
I'll guarantee you that they didn't make one phone. I guarantee you they didn't make one phone call to Texas to try to sell that truck.
Well, they didn't because they didn't think that was possible. And that's like almost, a $4,000 freight haul, right? It's something that nobody thinks about. But a digital market basically mitigates that and makes every buyer see every potential seller. Just think about that. Makes every buyer see every potential seller. I wanted to chat a little bit about OSB. So last Friday, LP made an announcement of one of their mills in BC, like a force majeure type of thing. It got the panel market hopping a little bit. We moved a bunch. We've got a bunch of trucks at OSB listed right now. OSB still seems to be cruising along from what I can see, right?
Yeah. Tell me about the Brazilian products you guys have.
Yeah, so we've got 2 or 3 different listers. Some of it's no grade stamp. We just actually had our sales meeting yesterday at 8. We had one of the new listers on. Tico grade stamp on one of them, Brazilian pine, struck one, CDX, CCX. And then we've got another lister listing Brazilian pine and eucalyptus. And if anybody needs any specs on it or pictures, we've got all that. These people are bringing a lot of these containers over, and they want to start finding a lot of the buyers of this themselves and start selling to them. So we've been able to match up some of these buyers and sellers. But the one thing about plywood with me is I want to know what the exact grades are and the stamps and all that, because even since I was a kid at a lumberyard, I had to get my head around all the different plies and grades and whether it's scant or not scant. So if you have any questions about the Brazilian pine that we're listing on here, out of all the ports in North America for prompt ship to you, you can come to mxlumber.com and get on. No cost to get on. You only pay if you transact. You can even look at pricing. But we will say this. We have a lot of people signing on just looking at pricing, which we are going to start charging for people signing on without actually using the platform. But we have people that come in 20 times a month and just look at pricing, and which means that we have value to them, and we're going to have to charge them for it if they're not transacting on here, if that makes sense to you.
And they're probably using those prices to beat up their regular other suppliers and just use you as a weapon. So I think a very fair thing to do.
Yeah. Well, look at 1221. I don't want to take too much of your vacation up, but what's your final thoughts of this market going into the end of the week on the 20th?
The one thing that comes to mind that I want to stress to everybody is, if you buy 6-week shipment and agree for it to be 3 weeks on you when you get caught with something at the top of the market, I always advise that under no circumstances to 6-week shipment. There's a big difference between what their order files, and mill order files are not out to the first week of March. They're quoting ship, but that's not where order files are. They're probably 2 weeks at the most.
Well, Eastern Canada, I heard there was mills coming up with stuff that were loading and ready to go, right? I mean, we've traded some Eastern Canadian spruce on here, and they're shipping right on time. They were 2 weeks or sooner, and they load and go every 2 weeks. So I haven't noticed any disruption there.
Big dip in the rest.
What I have noticed is trucking is hard. I'm looking over the MX load board that Nick and I have, our digital load board, and we notice things. We got truckers dropping stuff, but I mean, obviously, you look at Buffalo, New York, and all these areas where you have this weather. We finally have weather in the U.S. for the first time in the last 2 weeks, right? And I walked to work this morning, 7 degrees. It's hard to get trucks in and out of different locations. So I'm not the only one hearing that. I'm hearing people are having problems getting trucks around. I did see how in the U.S. now 18-year-olds are driving trucks, which, hey, good for them, man, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah,
right,
true.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. But like Greg said yesterday, hey, if they're only sitting inside their truck, I guess it's okay, right? As long as they get their shots and, that's Greg, right?
If you want to drive around with a fever and a headache.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, I mean, I had it for a day and a half or 2 days and got through it. So it felt like a cold to me, but I understand it can be worse with some people. So listen, Matt, man, appreciate it.
You look better. You look having it.
Yeah, I feel better for having it too. I can now eat things I never liked to eat before because I can't taste them. All right,
Good.
man. Everybody, tomorrow we'll have we're going to go live again with our Friday Smart Market. We'll have a special guest on that one. So hopefully everybody was able to sign on. We want this interactive. Steve Harms asked, is EWP available on Materials Exchange? Not yet, Steve. We're looking into that. I do have people calling saying that they have a few extra stuff of EWP at certain locations. I know Matt's pushed me hard on that, pushed us hard. Like, hey, you guys should hook people up with EWP at locations, that some that have it, some that don't have it. So we're looking at that. We will have an announcement in the next few weeks of a new product that we are putting on, and hopefully with a new partner. So that would be that'll be great. Dennis Lightborn, great to have you on. Dennis loves the digital exchanges. So Matt, let's look forward to doing this next week again and have a good time.
Sounds good. Thanks.
All right, Matt.
Thank you all for coming.